All right. Let's see if we're live here. Should be all good to go. I want to mention that Bobby Fye is back, and he'll be live at the bottom of the hour to talk about the MLB slate. So he's excited about that. And I apologize. I'm not explicitly trying to be a d-bag with 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 the shirt. I'm just packing stuff. It's hot. I keep going outside, throwing stuff in the truck. It's it's a comfortable shirt, okay? And ESO has them on sale for like $2, right? And I bought this a while back. Um, anyway, when we're looking at the Bristol slate for this for the race, also raise your hand if last night was one of the most tilting experiences I've had in a long time for NASCAR, going green to the end, and my only conclusion is that Corey Heim thought the 62 was Ben Rhodes. There's just no way that you would line up behind a car who stayed out on purpose. That, like, unbelievably stupid. Like, it should have been him and Lane fighting it out. The fact that 62 didn't go and just plummet him down to the back, like, that was tilting. The fact that when green to the end was tilting. Uh, we could even show here. I'll even do this and we'll talk yesterday because people asking stuff. And as stated, or not stated, but some people have asked me, NASCAR, I still do, anywhere from like 20, 12 to 20 lines, but really outside of the plate races, like I'm not playing any more than that. My play for NASCAR has not increased, nor do I see it doing that at any junction because I'm just very satisfied with playing NASCAR the way I am. When I look at where I was at yesterday, you see that I was 100% on Corey Heim. I like the speed that we saw, and you can see where I was at with a lot of these situations here, and had a lot of great shots. Odds very one lineup with Lane Riggs, and this wasn't even the highest scoring lineup for me. We end up cashing stuff and made money, but this was incredibly tilting with the ownership that Chandler Smith had and Lane Riggs had. I had none of that. And then Corey he starts finding 62, and by the time they're in turn one, he's in like ninth place. That was incredibly tilting. I would expect myself to look very similar like this in this race. Now that we go from the Truck Series, which is fairly easy to tell who's going to have speed at Bristol, we go to obviously the Xfinity Series and stuff. And for those of you that have been around for whatever amount of time, if you've been here forever, Bristol was my worst track. I hate Bristol from a DFS perspective for whatever reason. Yet again, we talk about knowing your weaknesses in a lot of the showdown stuff we've been doing. I am horrific at Bristol. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I don't know if it's bad variance over year after year. It has to be the approach, right? And specifically for Cup, it's almost every time we go here, it's a disaster. Xfinity Series, very similar to the Cup. It seems to be always a disaster. I have very little interest in this race, and because of that, I just know this is my worst track. Like from what I'm looking at, today seems like I probably want to play a lot of Allgaier, right? When we look, and yet again, I obviously we're running 16 or 16 threes, the 17 fives in most situations. Haven't removed all the 19s and stuff, but it removed a good portion of the lineup. So again, thank you AD for pulling the data and stuff. But we still get a fairly decent, like I know for a fact Creed is higher up because I have some of his slower laps in here, blah 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 blah. But I'm more so just looking at kind of where we're at, up here, determining who's leading laps, who's getting the fast laps and stuff. The two guys that should be competing for the lead and leading laps and everything should be Justin Allgaier and Connor Zilich. I don't think that's a crazy take. I don't think that's a crazy way to look at it. Allgaier's 11.5, Connor's 12.5. I like Justin Allgaier today. I also like Sam Mayer, very similar to Jake Garcia yesterday. Obviously, he blew a power steering belt and stuff. But I'm very open to potentially playing Sam Mayer in situations where, for whatever reason, he just gets a better start than Allgaier. I don't know how likely that is. I'm probably going to do 20 lines a day, somewhere around that. I just don't envision doing much more. It's 7,000 people, 10K to first. I don't really see a reason to do much more than that. Let me go ahead and get this over here so I can look at more stuff in detail. When I look at the builds, yet again, it was I don't want to play a lot of people. Let's unhighlight beard. I don't want to play a ton of people that I think are going to go a lap down. Okay, I really don't want to do that. Okay, big asterisks or big concern around people like Jones, Hill, Queen, right? These are guys who are projecting very well, who would normally, pass through a good portion of the field. Are we concerned about them going a lap down? Only if it goes green to start the race. How likely is that? Probably not very likely, but these guys are in situations to where, Jones, Hill, they're in the muck. It's going to be, if we have a crash here, they're most likely involved. We've had that happen quite a lot before for Xfinity specifically. We've wrecked a ton of stuff early in these races, and stuff. But in terms of value and stuff right here, yet again, this is the first time Green has been here, if I'm not mistaken. When we look at where he's at here, I mean, pretty slow. I'm not necessarily looking at this. I'm looking at just where his lap times are, right? And I mean, he's 16, 17. Like, yet again, he could be in traffic, could not be in traffic, whatever. But like, I am concerned about Austin Green, because I assume that he's going to project probably pretty decently in most situations here. I got Austin Green for where the hell is Green at? I got him for 29 points. Yet again, I mean, that's like a 4-6 value and stuff, 4-5 or whatever. Not super high on really chasing any of these guys back here unless you absolutely need to. Like Daniel Dye, I'm probably not going to be playing a lot of Daniel Dye. But probably not going to play Joey. I don't know how often I'm going to get to wear and why this is so important. Why am I focusing on this first? Well, it's because, very similar to, that's why I showed the lines yesterday for the truck series, is I think you have to, which yet again, I've had an abysmal run at Bristol, right? So I'm just gonna just not do what I normally do, right? And that's maybe I can get some place differential through here, or maybe we're gonna stay here. I'm just gonna chase Justin Allgaier and the fast guys. If I gotta fit in Justin Allgaier and Connor Zilic together, I frankly don't care. I'm just gonna try and get as many fast guys in my stupid lineup as possible here. I like Allgaier. Now, yet again, it's Bristol. Anything can happen, right? But I'm very tempted to just, yet again, I've had just a horrific time. So going 100% Allgaier doesn't even seem that stupid. Because I've not cashed and had guys wreck out doing far safer stuff than that. So I'm probably just gonna play 100% Allgaier and just start from there, because I think he's my favorite to lead laps and he's my favorite to finish up front. Obviously, he's going to be competing directly against Connor Zilic if he gets past, whatever. Hopefully, I have some Connor Zilic in there. But because I'm doing that at 11.5, I'm probably going to be deep in the 6, 7, and low 8K ranges here, which yet again, that leaves Austin Hill and Jones in a situation. Well, Jones is at 9.5, but still projects well. But that leaves it's in a situation where Nicholas Sanchez, Austin Hill, Burton, Day, Parker, Sammy, Eckes, a lot of these guys here are going to fit in my lineups easier, but they probably have a lot of risk, because this is typically where, if somebody's going to F up early or whatever, we're going to have a gigantic wreck involving these individuals here. So that's those are my thoughts on this one. Typically, I like intermediates more, but the fact that Bristol just, we're running laps so fast, I'm gonna just play. I'm gonna play 100% Allgaier and just move on from there. Like it's Bristol. I already hate this track from a DFS perspective. And tomorrow, I mean, obviously we got practice or Q or whatever heck's going on for Cup. Um, I think that because Bristol is my worst track, I don't think I'm going to hand build anything tomorrow for Bristol. I think I will let SaberSim take over because that it has to just drastically be better than anything I've been able to put together. Um, I mean, let me look through. Did I even? Have we been here before this year? We had to for someone, right? Like I just don't remember who won this stupid ass race earlier this year. Kyle Larson in the spring. Do I have any? Do I have any? Like, where's Bristol at, brother? Where's Bristol at, brother? Like, how the fuck am I even building it? Okay, for whatever reason, we just did not. Was I out of town? Maybe. Who knows? I rarely ever not fill anything in here, so that's weird. And I mean, I'm just speaking out loud. Like, there's times I've been and also I'm not even looking at chat. I'm just talking. Like, there's times I've cashed, obviously, and stuff. But like, let's look at this Xfinity Spring at Bristol here, and which is another sign. Like, if I this means like, dude, the fact that I had nothing on my sheet for Bristol means that I was very much out to lunch and like hated my life here. Did we even do anything? Yeah, I made projections. I just didn't. I didn't. I was probably pissed off and didn't want to do anything. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, for whatever reason, I just wasn't. Dude, this is today's stuff. Let's look at the spring one, man. Larson. Yeah, I did very little lines because I just hate this track. Which got the winner right, but that really doesn't mean much. I don't know. I just hate Bristol. This is my most hated track for building DFS and stuff. Just I guess it's different in Xfinity if Larson's starting first or if Allgaier's here, but when we start fucking flipping stages and shit, like I never have the lap leaders, no matter what I do. Over the years I've done this, I just hate Bristol. Yeah, and let's see. Yeah, but just just how it is. I'm fairly, I will happily trade in just missing Bristol constantly for all the other success that I've had, Alex. But I still like to watch it. It just normally I'm usually doing 3 lines or something, and I'm like I'm not even wasting money on this. How many drivers do I think will get lapped? Well, let's go ahead and just look through the last couple Xfinity Series races at Bristol to look at that. So let's go ahead and wander down to good old race reference yet again in 15 minutes. Bobby Fye makes his return, his long-awaited return from vacationing and doing a ton of other things to talk MLB. Also, 2-gamer on Monday. I didn't know that for NFL. So that kind of sucks because I like showdowns more. But well, let's look at these last races for Bristol here. Let's look at last 3 because they'd only come here once a year. So let's look at spring here. We had 12 people on the lead lap at the end of the spring race earlier. We went 75 laps to the end. Race in 2024, we had 16, 94 laps to the end. And 2023, we had 14, 44 laps to the end. So at least, we're probably going to have anywhere from 17 to 13 guys on the lead lap and stuff, which is why I'm like, well, let's just try and nail these idiots up here and hopefully they don't go a lap down. I don't know. And I've looked back, trust me. I mean, I love going through data. Anybody knows that. I've tried different strategies and stuff. I hate this damn track for DFS. God, I just hate it. I hate it so much. Let's see what else. Brandon Jones. I mean, I think Brandon Jones is a really good play today. I mean, Austin Hill, Nicholas Sanchez are most likely the place differential plays and going to have at least the most ownership for plays like that, and for good reason. I mean, they're here, and Brandon Jones really did miss quality. I mean, I really like these three guys today. Okay, I want to try and get two of them in most of my lineups. If not all three of them from running all guy, I'm probably gonna have to double punt in that. But I like these guys. I actually like Hill and Sanchez more because they're cheaper than Jones. So you can very easily, fit them in more lineups and stuff. But I like all three of them. My stuff's probably gonna be lower on Jones due to that, due to the pricing. But I like all three of these guys. I have no issues at all for him. I assume you're mentioning Ryan Sieg, him at 82. I would actually rather take Harrison Burton. I'm perfectly fine playing Ryan Sieg, and I probably will today. But I actually like Harrison Burton over Ryan Sieg today. Williams in the Alpha Beta Prime car, that's gonna be a no for me, dog. I will take Balicki, and I will take. Give me a moment to double check. But if you're asking me my thoughts on Williams, I will happily take Carson Ware in the 07 over Josh Balicki. And I do believe those are the major questions at the moment. Yet again, I showed the truck lines and stuff, and typically, I usually go over at least, especially in races where I'm just straight up. I have like no thoughts, and I just run whatever my stuff says. That's what my stuff said last night, and I'm gonna just go on that and not really have any input on the hand building process. In terms of I like if I'm building my lineups, and I've got and I'm going through and hand build. I'm just playing whatever my stuff says to play today. Um, so I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm really concerned about Connor Zilic. I just feel like this is where my thought process is, right? If I split my lineups, some with Connor Zilic, some with Allgaier, some are going to be dead to rights, just right off the bat. I would rather just take a stand on Allgaier v. Connor Zilic, and I've been playing a ton of Connor Zilic, like literally this entire year, even before he was injured and before he was this expensive. Um, I was playing Connor Zilic before the field got there, and I've been playing him like nonstop here. So whatever, Connor. If you beat me here, whatever. But I think I'm just going to play 100% Allgaier and just move on. Favorite cheap play? Yeah, here I'll go ahead and look at my value stuff here. I don't exactly know if there's going to be one guy who will do that. Oh man, dude. Like Poole, for example, right? Starting 18th. I got him finished in 20th. $6,000. That's a pretty big price tag for somebody like him. I think if you're I'm going to use value in this sense as someone who's $5,000. Or in the 5K range. I think it is Carson Ware or even Perkins. Now Perkins did crash his vehicle in Q. He crashed on the warm up lap and stuff, but he's starting last. Typically, that's usually a Gase car or somebody. Him at 5K. This is more of a hopefully there's chaos and stuff, and he's able to say 6-7 cars crash out, and he finishes 32nd. I mean, that's 19 points, man. I don't know, man. My gut says Bullocky or Ware. I think build wise it might be Perkins, but I don't really have a favorite down here at all. I've been playing a lot of Balicki lately. I've been playing so much Balicki and Poole. Like those are usually the guys I'm working with here, and Balicki has. Well, it's the cheapest Balicki's been, actually, since Dover. He's normal. Actually, Balicki, now that I look at it, let me look. Let me check. Hold on. Um, Yeah, I think it's Balicki, just based on the price, actually. I didn't realize that he was at such I mean, I knew he was 51, right? But I didn't realize how far under how far under that price is compared to where he's normally at. So, Balicki's probably my favorite value play and stuff. So, I think that also answers your question that you just asked, Jim, about if you have money left over and stuff. As always, if you want to have my, real answers, maybe I'm not here or, I don't touch it on the live show and stuff, you can get my projections through TrueDFS. We don't get to sell it. I'll do it tomorrow and stuff. I typically sell all the time anyway. I'm not going to annoy you too much on that one today. But, if you always want my projections and you want to build lineups through SaberSim with my stuff and then do, you can 1v1 drivers and see where they're at and where they're projected for based on my stuff. You can always just look at my projections and stuff. Thank you guys for being here and enjoy Bobby Fi talking MLB in 10 minutes. See you guys later. Peace out.